I'm Lincoln, aka High Contrast, on Hospital Records, and I'm here in my hometown, Cardiff, doing the Radio Cardiff Next Level drum and bass show for my old mate DJ Callister, and we're going to go into the mix later. One of my all-time favourite tunes is Renegade Snares by Omni Trio, which is kind of a classic old jungle track that it's got like a big piano riff and kind of sample pitched up female vocal, and it's just like a real euphoric rave anthem, and it was a massive influence on me. I think I heard it first on like a mixtape of DJ Hype from the kind of mid-90s, and you can hear the influence in a track like If We Ever that I made a few years ago that a lot of people seem to know. Is like I was trying to continue that kind of vibe. I don't know, for me there are no guilty pleasures, if you like something you like it, it's an honest response, but I like a lot of pop music. If it's good pop music, then I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And then there's like underground tracks, some of them I like, but a lot I hear I actually find quite boring. So really, there's no shame as long as you're really feeling the music, whatever it is. I never really thought about where I'd end up. I guess I don't really think about the future too much, and starting out I was just enjoying making beats and buying records and just getting involved in the scene, and I was just enjoying that. I never really thought about where it might lead. I was just kind of hungry to get involved in any way I could, and it just became a part of me then, just kind of wanting and needing to make music. I don't know, I never really feel like that, I never feel kind of satisfied with how things are. I'm always trying to push to the next thing, and I don't know, sometimes when people come up to you and are kind of starstruck, or like, oh my god, you've done this, and then you kind of think, oh yeah, I have actually done quite a bit, but generally I try not to think about it because I don't think it's particularly helpful. They only give you a big head, and that's the cool thing about being an artist or a creative person. You always come back to a blank page. So that every tune you start, it's kind of like going back to the beginning. It's you've kind of got to, or at least I kind of like begin anew, I feel, every time I make something, and every new like album is a new kind of challenge, and I still enjoy that. I don't really think about having made it. There's always new things to climb. People have been saying drum and bass is dead every couple of years ever since it first came out, and really it started 20 years ago, so it's still going, which is quite amazing for a musical genre, and of course it's changed, but you look at rock and roll coming out in the 50s compared to where it was 20 years later in the 70s, a completely different sound, so I think drum and bass has actually stayed kind of truer to its sound than a lot of other genres, and I don't know where it's going. I just think of what I'm doing, and I still enjoy making it, and feel I've still got things I want to do with it and say with it. So for me, it's in as strong a place as ever, and I think it's more accepted now than before. Getting kind of daytime radio plays and things like that, which didn't happen when I was starting out. Yeah, definitely. With the kind of the hospitality thing, as we've expanded the brand kind of around the country and globally into these big events, and playing at big festivals. It is a very different format to traditionally where drum and bass came from, where I kind of came from, of playing in smaller clubs, to a perhaps more kind of dedicated or knowledgeable crowd. I don't know, it's arguable, but I like to mix it up. I like playing the big shows, and it's like there's a great energy there, and having that many people all together, that's kind of like a big party thing. But then I also like playing smaller venues and a bit more intimate and a bit more underground feel, and I'll calibrate my sets accordingly. There's no point trying to drop some minimal deep tune to 4,000 people, raving hard at 5 in the morning. You've got to know your audience. I don't know, I'm often kind of frustrated that, just 45 minutes or so away, Bristol has always had such a thriving music scene, and I think, Cardiff's got a lot of great things going on, but we never seem to be able to kind of hit the same level as Bristol has, and I think, it's something, it's good to aim for something like that, and I think it's definitely possible, and it's got the potential, but how that happens, I don't really know. I guess people have just got to be dedicated in what they're doing and passionate about it, and I guess I just put in a lot of hours, working on tunes, and that kind of took over my life, and that paid off for me. But other people, I guess it's just if you're really passionate about it, and if you can put in that time, then it can pay off. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see more people come through in Cardiff, and I think it's great that Aperture's still going strong with the drum and bass, and someone like Lung has done really well and been signed to med school, and so that's great to see. Things do still happen, and it seems to be getting better. But you can always improve. I think it'd have to be production, just because it's more personal. It's nice to you make the tunes and then you go out and DJ them, and it's like that's like the fun party side of it. But then the actual production is kind of the deeper, more serious side that I feel a stronger connection to. I mean, I just happened to use Cubase because I always have. It was the first thing I learned to use, and I've just stuck with it. I don't think it really matters what you use. Scream and Benga were using, and I think they still are, Fruity Loops, and other people use Reason, a lot of people use Logic. It doesn't matter really. It's your ideas that count, and I just have a very minimal setup just on an iMac, and just as long as you've got good monitors, I think that's all you really need. It's just your ideas then. A lot of people get caught up in buying all the latest technology and latest plugins and stuff. And yeah, to an extent, I go along with that. But if you spend all your time learning how to use new things, you're better off just kind of learning what you've got, and really just finding out how to express your ideas through that. It's a very different landscape in the music industry now compared to when I came through. You know, the internet was in its infancy back then, and there was no Facebook or anything like that. So it's kind of difficult to give advice on that because there's so many people making music now. I think it's hard for people to stand out from everyone else. But a lot of what I hear sounds very generic, and if you can make something that has an original sound that's different from everyone else, then I think that gives you a better chance of breaking through than all the people that make tracks that are kind of sonically correct and well produced but don't really have anything new to say, and people are always looking for what's new. I kind of like to try and map it out in advance, and you can never really dictate what you're going to make in the studio, in a sincere way. I don't think I can't anyway. But I try and build an idea in my head, get a vibe going, and some kind of concept for it all, and try to give it a cohesive feel. And as it's worked out, I think all the albums I've made, I made all that specific amount of tracks, and there were no extra tracks. They were all ended up on the album. It was almost like a jigsaw then, and you need all the pieces, and there's no extra pieces. But other people will make 30 tunes and hone it down then to just choose 14 or whatever. But I think because I plan it out in my head a lot, I don't do that. You can't. You can manipulate sounds a lot, but you're much better off beginning with good quality sound samples, especially with drums. So I think you've really got to develop your ear and kind of get a good library of sounds together, and there's a lot of layering, obviously, that goes on with my drum production, but you need high quality sounds to begin with. I wouldn't use MP3s for drums or anything like that. And, I don't know. I think you need, over years, you kind of build your kind of studio ear, and you just kind of then get to a point where you intuitively know what sounds good. And I think it's better when it becomes instinctual when you're in the studio. Yeah, I don't know. I the way I work is I just start loads and loads of tracks. That have hundreds of sketches going back years, and you kind of chip away at them and get so far, and then you just go on to the next one and chip away at that, and I kind of cycle around like that for a while. But then you kind of get to a point where you have a breakthrough, and it's usually that you come up with a good loop, your main kind of riff, but then, and it's something Marcus Intellect's first kind of put in plain language for me, that it's when you then get a second section that then you're basically on the home straight to finishing a track. It's like if you can come up with a switch up in the middle, or an interesting change, or something melodically different in the breakdown or something like that. You listen to classical music, and I mean there's changes every few seconds, but in kind of repetitive electronic dance music, just having one change, I think, is enough to kind of give some shape to a track and help you break out of being locked into just one loop over and over. Some people can make a track just out of a one note bass line and just some random samples coming in, and sometimes it can work. There's no hard and fast rules, I think, with music production, but yeah, I've got tons of tracks that are just kind of a loop, and it's just waiting for that little switch up or extra element that will kind of break it out and just let it flow into like a 5-minute track. Yeah. How you do that, I don't know. Well, I know people who've had careers with no musical knowledge or formal training, but can work in a more technical way and just kind of work intuitively without actually knowing what they're doing, and I'm not that musically trained really. I've got kind of basic piano playing skills, but yeah, I think it definitely helps though, and it's definitely something kind of worth investing in, putting in some time, maybe get some piano lessons or just looking at some YouTube videos or something. It'll definitely kind of expand your mind and help in the end.
Together we can make it. Together we can make it. Together we can make it. They can.